Hello everyone, welcome back to the IndieGeekGuy channel. Hope you're well. We're back with more Hannibal, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the continuation from last week. Speaking to last week, I feel like my brain was in a place where everything was so obviously being put in front of me, I just didn't trust it. The episode gave me trust issues, alright? That's what I'm saying. I think thanks to this show and Black Sails, whenever something feels like it's just very blatantly being put on the table, my instant reaction is to not trust it. Is not to accept it at face value. But as I was editing through last week's video, I think, nope, they're very clear about this. Hannibal is the Ripper, that's who he is, and this other guy's just pretending, and it was just my overthinking, just like, I don't trust you show. I do not trust you. That made me go off the rails a little bit last time. But I did sort of conclude in the review saying that's where I think we're at. I think Hannibal is the Ripper. I'm just slightly dubious, but no, upon rewatching the episode, it is abundantly clear. But on top of that, from last episode, we've got Jack slowly sort of breaking down. A lot of the pressure of his work, of his personal life, seems to be just weighing him down. He's sort of losing his judgment possibly a little bit going forwards. Will seemed pretty good last week. He had to go through the mind space of Gideon, which sort of did a number on him, and that's a continuing theme. But he was on it. He was on the case. He was looking after Jack. He was just trying to help him out. So that was all well and good. Hannibal being mischievous and manipulating as ever, and also slightly pissed off by the fact that this other person's getting credit for his work, but I think he's smart enough to realize he has to use this to his advantage, so I assume that's where we're going with that. And then we've got Alana Bloom just being the hero, the one who is level-headed, trying to keep everything under control, trying to do everything professionally. So I feel like she's a threat to Hannibal because of that. At some point, something's going to be going on with that, because she's just too good at her job at the moment, and if anyone can maybe suss this whole thing out, that everything that's going on, it might well be her, along with, the help of Will's ability to see into the minds and empathize with everyone. But yeah, I feel like that's going to go somewhere. There's lots of things going somewhere. I'm excited. Last week sort of left me feeling with a part one, what's going to happen next kind of vibe. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. But before we jump in, if you do enjoy the reaction and the review that happens after the episode, press the thumbs up button. It helps me know you liked it. It helps it get seen by more people. Also consider subscribing so you don't miss any other videos. Also help support the channel, all that good stuff. There are also social links down below, including the Discord server and my Twitch stream channel. So if you want to make sure you're not missing any live streams, head on over there and click the follow button. But that's everything. Let's jump into the next episode of Hannibal, see what happens, see if this episode fucks me up as well.
Miriam was investigating private medical records of all the known victims when she disappeared.
Could she be alive? I doubt it, but maybe? Maybe?
The Chesapeake Ripper has remained consistently theatrical.
Gotta put some flair on that, Well, that was gross. Thanks for that, show. She's gonna fucking miss a note. She's gonna miss a note and Hannibal's gonna eat her. That's what's gonna happen. He's listening. He's listening for the mistakes. He's listening for mistakes. Okay, I think she's good. I think she made it without the threat of being eaten. This guy, on the other hand, that guy, he left the tissue on his stand, so...
How did you two know each other?
There should remain some mystery to my life outside the opera.
I'm one of his patients.
Oh.
Well, I don't think he wanted anyone to know that, so you done fucked up.
Who's hungry?
Oh my god. Oh my god. He's so, vampiric in this show, which I think is a deliberate choice. Even back to that first episode where I said his office looks like fucking Christopher Lee's house in Dracula.
You want me to wrap my head so tight around the Ripper I won't go back to class until he's caught?
You're bad luck that you're the best, pal.
Expecting another couple.
I mean, he is the best, but this is manipulation. He's desperate. He's desperate to catch the Ripper, and He's willing to put Will in the firing line to do it.
The last time the window closed, I lost the Ripper and I lost Miriam Lass. I don't intend to do that again.
You might lose Will. Maybe not in a literal sense, but in another kind of way.
Does anyone touch the body?
For once, local police behave themselves.
It's fairly evident the man's dead just by looking at him.
I touched the body.
Right, this is fucking straight up the fucking room from The Shining. I can already tell by the layout of the room and the green in the bathroom.
What did he take out of the chest?
Going for the heart, probably interrupted. It's intact. Traumatized, but it's intact.
No. No. I mean, even the shot is like a reverse shot of the Shining shot.
I spread the ribs.
This feels like desperation.
Take his heart in my hand.
Tried to
Internal cardiac massage.
Yeah, he's trying to heal him. He was trying to heal him. Let's just add another mystery on top of everything that's going on. Luckily, the guy didn't turn into like a decaying old woman, so there's that, I guess.
This is a medical student or a trainee or someone trying to make an extra buck in a back alley surgery, and it went bad. They'll catch the Ripper. Eventually.
Yeah, well, I want to catch him now.
Don't let it cloud your judgment, Jack. Because that leads to danger and anger and fear. Jedi code.
I want you to be my friend.
Of course you do. I have intimate knowledge of you.
I think that we would make good friends. It makes me sad that I have to pay to see you.
This can only go bad. This can only go bad.
I was listening to Michael Jackson last night, and I burst into tears. My eyes are burning right now just thinking about it. The only thing is-
That eye roll. That fucking eye roll.
And I feel like if I was his friend, that I would have been able to help save him from himself.
Wow, that's quite the ego.
Hello. Come on in.
Oh my god, it's fucking Scully.
I have conversations with a version of you. And hope that the actual you gets what he needs.
I mean, if Hannibal's gonna have a psychiatrist, it's gonna be fucking Scully. Let's put it that way.
It must be lonely.
I have friends.
At the end of your hour, I will pour you a glass of wine.
That is interesting, though. Establishing Hannibal's
Please come in.
sessions. Wonder where that will go.
She was drinking with a patient. I have an unconventional psychiatrist.
Was she here? I'm confused. Was she... What? Is she in his head? Is that what's going on there?
The victims were all brutalized. What was the brutalization hiding?
The careful surgical removal and preservation of vital organs.
For nomming. Well, that nom time.
Valuable.
Organ harvesters.
Jack's looking for a serial killer he can't seem to catch. It's a brilliant diversion.
This is just Hannibal's deflection.
May I ask for your business card, please? For my records.
His next target, I guess?
Have we met before?
He dead. He dead. Oh my god, jeez.
Found him in a school bus, sitting across.
I appreciate beer more than wine.
Beer brewed in a wine barrel. For 2 years, I bottled it myself.
Is it blood? Is it blood? Fucking vampire beer.
I recall even before I met Will, you never spoke about him.
Probably because I just want everybody to leave him alone. Jack's obsessed with the Chesapeake Ripper, and he's grooming Will to catch him.
Yep. That's about the sum of it. Which might be why Hannibal is getting more and more annoyed with Jack. Because Hannibal seems to have a genuine liking for Will, so... Okay, Jack's losing it. Jack's losing it. You need to take a week off, Jack. Just go on holiday. See the sights. Do something. Do something. At least it shows he might be scared that he might get Will put into the same position if he keeps pushing him. He fucking has on like a Rolodex of, oh, who should we have for tonight's meal? Fuck's sake. Fuck me, he's going off on one. Jesus. I figure he's got some kind of... He thinks he's working under the cover of the organ sellers or whatever.
You ever heard of tyromancy?
Divination by cheese.
It was my gateway to cheeses. It's like a magic 8-ball that you can eat.
This guy's like starting to dress like Hannibal now. What the fuck is going on?
You often worry about being alone.
Being alone comes with a dull ache, doesn't it?
It can.
This episode's been such an interesting peek behind the curtain, just slightly of Hannibal and what might be going on in his head.
Dad,
Yes.
there's someone else here.
The fuck are you doing, Will? What is going on?
Well,
That's concerning.
These dissections are to disgrace them. It's a public shaming.
takes their organs away because in his mind they don't deserve them.
I mean, that was just him telling him how it was. Just like, be careful, Hannibal, alright? Don't be too proud of your own work, will you?
Seems to me he was humiliating someone.
He was humiliating Jack.
Did it work?
He wants to know.
It worked really well.
Yep, he's very happy about that. He couldn't be in the room when it happens, so we'll live it through Will, I guess.
Ambulance would be a smart place to perform surgery. If the cops show up, blend in and drive away.
Okay. So maybe there's someone else about, and Hannibal is using this other person as a cover to do his shit.
Jack,
Yeah.
if the ambulance radio is on, I can use the DF sweep to find it.
This is very educational.
Oh my god. Fucking Hannibal, dude. He's just like, I love this. I love getting to learn all these secrets. Thanks, guys.
He was removing his kidney. Poorly. I can stop the bleeding.
Do it.
Will's gonna see this. Will's gonna see his surgical methods, and who knows. This is gonna add a whole new context for Will. That's a thing. That's a thing. I'm telling you right now, that's gonna be a thing. Yes, applaud this human meat. Applaud. How proud of himself. It's been a while since he's got to do that. There we go. That was the episode. Woo-wee! That was... that was an interesting one, to say the least. Okay, I'll just say this right off the top. There is zero doubt in my mind now about Hannibal being the Ripper. Like, if the previous episode wasn't, like, laying it out for dummy like me as clear as possible, this one was just like, look... This is what it is. More so than that, it was an interesting kind of peek behind the curtain of him as a character. Like, it was this little sliver, just this little sliver, which I guess, you know, because this is a TV show, we might get more of that as he goes along. But one, the first thing is that it's of big interest is him having a psychiatrist session, which I think is happening in his head. Because, let's be real, who would Hannibal trust with his own head himself, or at least a version of himself? And then there's the visual clue that was there that he was meant to be having a drink with her, but then the drink was in his office, so he was just drinking with himself and just in his own head kind of thing. That's where I'm at. It might be a little bit out there, it might be a little bit, what are you talking about? You're crazy. And I don't, but that was my gut reaction to what I saw with him having that psychiatrist session, that therapy session, that it was all in his own head in some way. However you look at that, whether it is like him trying to self-diagnose himself or if he's actually having sessions, whatever the case may be, it's an interesting facet of him saying that he's actively looking for help. Like, because that's why you'd go to therapy. You're looking for help. You're looking for a way to figure out parts about your own mind that you don't understand or can't quite piece together, or whatever the case may be. So it's interesting that he desires that relationship somehow, that idea of like being able to understand himself a little bit better, and also tapping into the idea of loneliness, because he doesn't know anyone else like him. He doesn't know anyone else who does what he does, and that makes him feel very isolated. And it's this interesting thing with his relationship with Will, that maybe he's found someone who he can relate to in a way that he's never related to before with anyone else. And that could also be, in the first episode, why he warned the opening killer, the cannibal, whose name has just gone completely out of my head. That's embarrassing. But that might be why he warned him, because he's like, I'm so alone in this world doing these terrible things that I'm doing, that if there's someone else relatively like me, I'm gonna try and warn them. So it's that piecing all those pieces together, which it's interesting. We're also sort of seeing maybe his I don't know what to call it. I don't know if it's hubris is the right word, but it's a carry on from the previous episode, that he is both kind of annoyed by the fact that other people are getting the credit for his killings, but simultaneously he's smart enough to realize he has to use that in order to keep himself off the radar, to keep himself safe. Obviously, last time we had Gideon, who just claimed to be the actual killer, which our main characters don't believe is the case. And we had Hannibal looking at the article and he was pissed off about it, but he also was like trying to reinforce it when he was talking to the head of the institution and saying, hey, you keep making this guy think he's the Ripper. You keep doing that because it's helping me out. So, it's this battle going on in his own head. And I feel like this was the first time in an episode where we really got to see that. We got to not only see him physically doing things and being the Hannibal that we know him to be, but also we were getting that peek behind the curtain of what is going on in his head on a not just a logical, like how he's approaching things kind of way, but also an emotional level. Like, he's been kind of stoic and distant and just sort of moving through the show as, the apex predator basically. And this was the first time we got to see maybe some of the weakness that is there, and maybe that weakness is going to be what ends up getting him caught in some way. It's interesting. It's a good way to start setting those seeds up for what could happen down the line. The other interesting thing is now Will feels like he's close to the Ripper, but can't quite nail it. And here we had him both seeing Hannibal performing, not intensive surgery, but he saw him at the hands of a scalpel operating on a guy, and also saw him cooking in the kitchen. And one would imagine with that he can see the grace in which Will associates with the Ripper, like the theatrics, the style, and maybe he will connect those dots, because there was a definite look. There was an exchange of looks in that moment when Hannibal was stopping the bleeding on that guy, and it felt like there was a puzzle piece landing somewhere in Will's head, but he just kind of shook it off a little bit. So that was interesting. Jack is falling down a rabbit hole further and further. He's now having hallucinations. It seems like even though he may not be expressing it to Will or just outwardly, he seems to be fearing that he is setting Will up to be in the same position as Miriam. Obviously, we don't actually know what happened to Miriam at this point. It definitely feels like Hannibal probably killed her. I'm reserving a little bit in my head of maybe she's alive and just missing an arm, and he's just fucking with Jack using her. But she's more than likely dead. But I feel like it was a death that may, he is not one he took any pleasure in. It's because he probably, as they said in this episode, respected her for getting as close as she did. And it's the same thing with Will, I guess, that he has a respect for Will because he knows that Will is, if anyone could possibly catch him, it's probably going to be him. And I think there's maybe even a case of, like he wants Will to know who he actually is, because he definitely seems to be having a liking for him and a respect for him, which started off as like, I'm going to push this guy and see where his mind goes, and as the episodes have gone on, he's just sort of grown a fondness for Will, and now he's maybe bridging over to that place where he wants Will to know him and understand him, and maybe seek out that kind of friendship, because that seemed to be a theme of this episode, like just having someone who is important to you on some level, who equally sees you in that same way. And obviously that was all framed through Hannibal's patient, who definitely gonna die. I'm surprised that man's not dead already, frankly, but maybe it would put too much heat on Hannibal if he killed his own patient. That might cause some issues, but I am amazed that guy is still alive. Like, he dropped the snotty rag on his table in the first episode, I think it was, and now he's like stalking him. Like, that ain't ending well. That ain't going anywhere good. I have to say, with the scene with the opera, I was fully expecting either the singer or maybe someone playing an instrument to hit the wrong note, and that was gonna irk him, because I think that's what happens in Red Dragon, the movie at least. Like, he kills like the celloist or something like that for hitting the wrong notes or something. So I was fully expecting that to happen, and maybe that's what they were going for with that scene. Like, oh, you think you know what's going to happen here, but then it doesn't. It subverts into this weird relationship with his patient that he's not comfortable with, and yeah, so interesting. But who knows, maybe we'll circle back round to that moment. But also, that scene was another good one of demonstrating Hannibal's emotions. Like, he had an emotional connection to the music as it was being played, and you know, you actually saw him tear up and all that sort of stuff. So it's again another interesting peeking of the curtain there. And I said this in the reaction as well, and I've sort of alluded to it previously in the first episode, where this version of Hannibal, or this take on the character, both in the writing and in the performance, is very vampiric. It's very, but not just purely in the sense of he's eating humans and, you know, devouring them and, you know, manipulating them and luring them in with his charm and all that, but also kind of like the classic tragedy of Dracula. Like, there's this, especially in this episode, it really came to the forefront of that loneliness and desiring a relationship with someone who is the same and can understand it, and all of that stuff seems to be present, which is, you know, that is a theme within vampire media, especially with certain takes on Dracula, that there is that he wants someone to love and to be loved by and to share that kind of relationship with. And I feel like that is a theme that they're playing with Hannibal here, and it definitely got seeded here in various different ways. We also got our third, at least the ones that I've spotted, that, I mean, there's obviously been allusions to the actual Hannibal movies in some of the visuals here, but our third sort of visual take on another movie where we've had this previously, but The Shining got a tribute, I guess, and even the reverse shot of Will sort of stepping out of the situation was kind of like the POV of The Shining going into that room. And obviously the bathroom was just the exact same set, pretty much. Green bathroom, body in the bathtub, didn't turn into a wrinkly old woman, but you can't have everything, I guess. So that was definitely there. We also had a Shining-esque bathroom in the earlier episode. It was 1 or 2, I think. But also, like I've said previously, also again in this reaction, Hannibal's office looks like Dracula's mansion in the 50s horror movie starring Christopher Lee. Like that, it is a very similar aesthetic and look to it. But no, I really enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed having Hannibal at the forefront, because he feels like he's been kind of this side character for the most part in these episodes, and he got introduced and stuff, but this really put him at the forefront. And the thing is with Hannibal, in the movies as well, he is kind of a side character. He is the character that the protagonist of the story goes to for help or advice or just an interaction. And, you know, even in Hannibal, the movie where he's out and about, it's mainly Clarice's story. He's just kind of bobbing and weaving through it. But yeah, it was interesting for an episode of this show to actually have him really at the forefront in a way that, like I say, it's just, I guess that's kind of the danger of it, because you want Hannibal to have an element of mystery to him, and slightly you can't understand him because he's so far removed from what we think humanity is and should be, and they're trying to show us what that is, but you don't want to give away too much of what makes that character alluring and all that kind of stuff. So I found this episode found a nice balance of, yeah, this guy's fucked. like he's bad. He is bad, but we're going to try and give you at least an idea of how he's arrived at this place, which, you know, I look forward to seeing that journey unfold. You know, I assume that's going to be a big thing as we go along, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think this episode was a good job of starting to seed all that in a really defined way. But no, solid episode. I really enjoyed this one. I think it's good. Sets up the Will and Hannibal relationship going forward in an interesting way, and it definitely feels like Will is slowly getting there. Like, he just doesn't want to believe it. We also got Will having a vision with Abigail in this one where he's putting himself in the position of her father again. That was a bit weird and a bit concerning. See where that goes, I guess. But yeah, look forward to the rest. This was an interesting one, so yeah, good times all around. Thank you for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please press the thumbs up. It helps me know you liked it. It helps it get seen by more people. Also, subscribe if you want to support the channel and don't miss a single video. Other than that, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you on the next one.